Have you ever heard the saying, "If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you"? Well, today we're talking about a man who took that idea to a whole new level. He didn't sell a bridge. He sold the moon, and the craziest part, people bought it. This is the story of the man who became a millionaire by selling something he didn't own and no one could reach. Let's travel back to the Roaring Twenties, a time of jazz, flappers, and boundless optimism. The world was changing fast, and for some, the sky was literally the limit. In the midst of this era of grand dreams and even grander schemes, a man named Arkadel stepped onto the scene. Now, historical records about him are a bit hazy, which is exactly what a good con artist would want. But the legend of his lunar enterprise has echoed through the decades. Arkadel was, by all accounts, incredibly charismatic. He had a way of speaking that made the impossible sound not just plausible, but like a fantastic investment opportunity. He wasn't some back alley swindler. He moved in high society circles, rubbing elbows with the rich and famous. He understood his audience perfectly. These weren't just wealthy people. They were people who prided themselves on being visionaries, on getting in on the ground floor of the next big thing. So, how did he do it? How do you convince someone to buy a piece of the moon? Arkadel's genius was in his presentation. He didn't just walk up and say, "Hey, want to buy some lunar land?" No, he created an entire narrative, a carefully constructed illusion of legitimacy. First, he established what he called the Interplanetary Development Corporation. Just the name itself sounds official, doesn't it? It has that ring of forward-thinking and scientific progress. He would host lavish parties, not to sell, but to educate. He'd bring out impressive-looking charts, star maps, and even a powerful telescope. He'd point it towards the moon and speak passionately about the future of humanity among the stars. He would talk about the coming age of space travel, something that was pure science fiction at the time. He'd paint a vivid picture of lunar colonies, of resorts with breathtaking views of Earth, of the incredible mineral wealth just waiting to be mined. He made it sound like an inevitability, not a fantasy. And he was offering his guests a chance to be pioneers. His pitch was masterful. He'd say things like, "Ladies and gentlemen, look up at that beautiful silver orb. For centuries, poets have written about it, lovers have swooned under it. But I see something more. I see the future. I see real estate." He framed it as the ultimate status symbol. You might own a mansion in Newport or a penthouse in New York, but could you say you owned a crater on the moon? He created beautifully designed, official-looking deeds. They were printed on heavy parchment, embossed with a corporate seal, and featured detailed maps of the Sea of Tranquility Estates or the crater Copernicus VIADS. Each deed specified the exact plot of land with coordinates and acreage. They looked every bit as real as a deed to a property on Earth. For a small price, say, a few $100s per acre, which was a lot of money back then, you could own a piece of the heavens, and people were captivated. They weren't just buying a piece of paper, they were buying a story. They were buying into a dream of the future and, more importantly, bragging rights. Imagine the conversation at the country club. "Oh, you just bought a new Duesenberg. That's quaint." "I just acquired a lovely 10-acre plot overlooking the Earthrise." It was the ultimate conversation starter, the peak of eccentric wealth. Arkadel even had answers for the skeptics. When someone would ask, "But how can you claim to own the moon?" he would smile charmingly and explain that through his deep understanding of ancient and obscure international laws that predated modern nations, he had established a legal claim. He would spout impressive-sounding but completely fabricated legal jargon. It was all nonsense, of course, but it was delivered with such confidence that it sounded believable, especially to those who didn't want to appear ignorant. His other brilliant move was targeting the right people. He went after socialites and new money millionaires who were eager to prove their sophistication and foresight. He knew that once a few influential people bought in, a domino effect would follow. Peer pressure is a powerful thing, even among the ultra-rich. Nobody wanted to be the one who missed out on the investment of the century. For several years, the money poured in. A.M. Arkadale lived a life of luxury, funded entirely by his celestial scam. He became a living legend in certain circles, the man who had the audacity to sell the moon and the charm to pull it off. So what happened? How did it all end? Well, like all great cons, it couldn't last forever. The problem with selling a product that your customers can never visit is that, eventually, the novelty wears off. There are a few versions of how his enterprise crumbled. One popular version of the story is that his downfall came from his own success. As his fame or infamy grew, he attracted the attention of the authorities. Not because he was selling the moon, which was such a bizarre crime that there wasn't really a law against it, but for more mundane reasons like mail fraud or tax evasion. It's often the boring paperwork, not the grand deception, that trips up these figures. Another story suggests that a disgruntled journalist started digging into the Interplanetary Development Corporation and found that it was nothing more than a post office box and a fancy letterhead. The resulting expose shattered the illusion Arkadale had so carefully built. Once the story broke that it was all a scam, the laughter started. The wealthy socialites who had proudly displayed their lunar deeds were suddenly the butt of the joke. The deeds became worthless, not just financially, but as status symbols. They went from being tokens of foresight to badges of gullibility. And what of A.M. Arkadale himself? Like his origins, his end is also shrouded in mystery. Some say he was arrested and spent time in prison. Others claim he saw the writing on the wall, cast out his earnings, and simply vanished, perhaps to start a new life under a new name, ready to sell the canals of Mars to a new generation of dreamers. We may never know for sure. But the story of the man who sold the moon is more than just a funny tale about a clever con artist. It's a fascinating look at human psychology. It shows us how much people want to believe in something extraordinary. Arkadale wasn't just selling empty space. He was selling hope, status, and a ticket to the future. He tapped into that fundamental human desire to be part of something bigger than ourselves. It is a powerful reminder that the most convincing stories aren't always the ones that are true, but the ones that tell us what we want to hear about ourselves, that we are smart, forward-thinking, and special. He saw that the line between a visionary and a con artist can sometimes be very, very thin. Even today, the legacy of selling the moon continues. There are still companies that, for a small fee, will sell you a novelty deed for an acre of land on the moon or Mars. Of course, these are sold as gay gifts, and no one seriously believes they are purchasing a legal title. But it all started with a man in the 1920s who dared to look up at the night sky and see not a celestial body, but prime real estate. A man who proved that if you have enough confidence and a great story, you can sell anything, even the moon. What do you think? Was he a brilliant entrepreneur ahead of his time, or just a common swindler with a silver tongue? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest cons, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time!